Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. This week could be absolutely huge for XRP and the entire crypto asset class, and there are a number of key reasons for that, which I want to discuss with you. And if you haven't noticed, my God, the market is primed and certain coins absolutely have been popping off recently. That's not a coincidence. This market is showing tremendous strength. Now, there is something that could happen this week, which could set could result in a sell-off. Not that I'm counting on that. I'll explain what could happen there as well. But other than that, I just want to highlight various XRP metrics, which I haven't talked about in a little bit, so I want to provide you an update on some of them. But my God, it looks ridiculously bullish for XRP. I keep thinking about how much strength XRP has shown since the election this past November, and how that strength has continued ever since. It's like, I mean, from institutional flows to various XRP ledger ecosystem metrics, it could not be more obvious that not only is XRP an early winner of the crypto spaces, broadly speaking, but that it continues to have momentum. And so to know that's the case while the price of XRP is still above $3 and we haven't had the euphoric part of alt season yet, yeah, that bodes quite well for XRP. This thing is not done. And to know that historically the final pump for XRP is way bigger than the first one, and the first one was already life-changing enough for many people, and undoubtedly including some of you listening. So yeah, I think it's going to go way higher, but that's why I keep saying, to know that XRP is hanging out at this price level, and we haven't had it yet, and everything's so perfectly primed, what more could you ask, folks? But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this video, it is 12:16 a.m. Central Time, Monday, September 15th, 2025. XRP is $3.06. Bitcoin is $116,206. What do you think is going to set this off, though? Well, there's this post from Altcoin Gordon. He shared this with his 806,000 followers on X, and he wrote, "Huge week incoming for crypto. Rate cuts are just the start. Are you connecting the dots?" Well, I am. I'm seeing all sorts of stuff pop off in anticipation of great things happening here. People are positioning. By the way, that includes for XRP. I mean, frankly, even if you go back to where the market hit its low this year in April on the tariff fears, even throughout that, I mean, yeah, there was a lot of selling off at various points, but even throughout that, there was clear evidence of institutional accumulation of XRP by bulls, the smart money. They know it's going way higher, and they took advantage of that. And so, yeah, you're still seeing a certain amount of positioning here, very obviously. But some of this is expected. So connecting the dots, what else might he mean? Well, he hinted at some of it in this post. He also said rate cuts incoming, then quantitative easing starts. So that just means money printer go burr. He says, once that money printer begins, it's too late. Position yourself now or be sidelined for one hell of a bull run. Simple as that. And so I will say there are a bunch of coins that are still looking pretty cheap. A lot of coins are very far off from their all-time highs. XRP, although it's already run, I think it's got so much catching up to do. It'll be one of the coins that really does perform. I mean, it already has at this point, but will continue to perform ridiculously well. I just don't think that most coins are going to hit new all-time highs. They certainly didn't last market cycle, but that's okay. We were smart enough to accumulate XRP, weren't we? And that thing, there's a reason it's been number one. But as far as the FOMC meeting coming up this week and the potential rate cut, I mean, you might be wondering, because it's all we're talking about in crypto now, it seems like, is a Fed rate cut already priced into crypto? And the shorter answer is yes, but only partly. You see, markets have been expecting a 25 basis point cut for weeks. So the announcement itself probably won't shock anyone. And by the way, the announcement will be on Wednesday this week. The FOMC meeting, it's actually a 2-day event, so it's Tuesday and Wednesday, and then there, of course, will be, as is tradition, a press conference after that where Jerome Powell comes out, the Fed chair, and so yeah, everybody is expecting that there's going to be at least a 25 basis point cut, regarding the federal funds rate, and so yeah, definitely priced in. There had been hits. Remember, how long has it been now? 2 or 3 weeks, I think, since Jerome Powell spoke at the Jackson Hole event in Wyoming. And that's where he hinted at, and then the market's like, okay. you could see obviously that does seem to be priced in. okay, so market's expecting that, but is given that that's not going to shock anyone if it happens, what really matters? It's the guidance that comes as a result of this meeting. So if Jerome Powell signals multiple cuts ahead or hints at slowing down quantitative tightening, which is possible because we are in QT right now, that's new fuel. That part would be new, and crypto absolutely could take off. This could be a huge week for XRP and crypto, just broadly speaking. Now, on the flip side, if the Fed just cuts once and plays cautious, which is a possibility, we could see volatility or even a sell the news dip. Yeah, so as great as this news would be, because the markets do perceive the rate cuts as a good thing, it's what the market wants very clearly. Yeah, you could, if we get that news, even though that's good news, you could see a sell the news dip because it's already expected. If you don't get anything else beyond that, I don't know that you're going to see the market run. But if you do, yeah, absolutely, there could be all sorts of confidence that could really spur things along. So we'll find out together. We will find out together, and very soon. I mean, we're just a couple days away at this point. But yeah, of course, if it's a sell news event, it's still not going to stop how this cycle is going to ultimately play out. But yeah, the bottom line is the cut itself priced in, path forward. The path forward is what will decide whether crypto rips higher or chops sideways for a bit, basically, in the short term here. Ultimately higher, though. Then we have this post from chart analyst Crypto Wizard. This is a Bitcoin price chart here, and he said, that's a flip. He said, Bitcoin is... he says, looks beautiful, doesn't it? Yeah, it actually does. Bitcoin is closing the week bullish. That's a massive reversal signal from the previous highs, which should now be support. Please don't mess it up, pal. That's right. And it's true. Like Bitcoin, and you love to see it, even if you don't hold Bitcoin. Bitcoin leads the market. So he's like, Powell, please just don't mess this up. Not just one rate cut, a signal that there's going to be more to come. Market will go nuts. That's what we need here. Otherwise, you do risk a sell-off from here, though. So it's true. But again, even if that happens, the market will figure it out. There are always knee-jerk reactions, and then life goes on, and we still keep trending upward. Here's a post from chart analyst Mustache. This is the crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin, so it's the total 2 chart. He says, it finally happened. This is the first time in 4 years that altcoin / total 2 have reached a new all-time high. I hope you're all ready. Price discovery afterwards. It was no different in 2017 and 2021. From that point on, the real alt season began. And so, as I keep insisting, this is exactly what you would hope and expect for this part of the market cycle. Like, you're starting to see things in the charts light up. This is one of them. So I'll keep beating that drum because that's just what makes sense. And this is why it makes sense to be excited, not fearful here. Here's a post from Crypto Insight UK, XRP USD chart on the screen. And the bottom part of this chart is RSI, Relative Strength Index. And he wrote, times when XRP has hit overbought on the monthly time frame. And so that's what these yellow lines would indicate. Here's when that happened. So this is fascinating because looks like we just flipped right above that and overbought, which could sound scary, except for it's not at all, and history shows that. Once an asset becomes overbought, it can stay that way for quite some time, actually. Look at what happened in what was the previous best bull run ever for XRP back in 2017 and going into early 2018. You can see, looking for that first major pump, look at this thing. It just rocketed up. It got into such overbought territory that it peaked at what? What would this have been? Probably like 95, 96, 97 on the RSI. It's a 0 to 100 scale, just to be clear here. So if you get up to 97, that's about as overbought as something can possibly get. And then it corrected downward, and XRP moved sideways for about half a year price-wise. And then for its final leg up, look at that. It just rocketed back on up. So that would be normal. And I'm just telling you, once it hits that level, it can stay there for quite some time. It doesn't mean that we are screwed the next day, okay? And then the next market cycle, several years ago, 2021, we were barely in overbought territory for any period of time. Now, that shouldn't surprise you, though, because the SEC attacked XRP. So that absolutely dramatically reduced demand for XRP. So it did delay us getting our life-changing wealth, but, market's already not responding like that this cycle. I mean, look at this. Look at how XRP got into overbought territory this market cycle coming out of November. And then it got up however high it got, what would that have been, 80 something? I can't tell from this exact chart. You have to zoom in on it. But it was overbought for a while and then came back down as we consolidated sideways, very normal. So now we're technically above, we're at 71, on the RSI. So, and 70 is when it's considered overbought initially. So I'm telling you, this can go way higher. This can get way closer to 100. So this is not something to be fearful of. This is what I'm showing you, is that this is an indication of strength. So ultimately, yes, you do risk it to a point where finally the top will be in. That's not what the chart will look like when we get there. So along the way, when we're getting closer, I will be screaming, hey guys, just so you know, we're getting into territory where historically XRP starts to peak price-wise. Look at the relative strength index. We're not there yet. I personally am not the least bit worried about that. So we'll see. Greg Crypto was talking about this as well. He shared a similar chart here. XRP RSI cycle top indicator. The curvature is looking remarkably similar, and it's time to prepare for takeoff over the next 2 to 3 months. So you can see it clearly here. Again, it's effectively the same chart. This is what you should want and expect if you're an XRP holder. That's why I'm highlighting this. This is absolutely fantastic, and we're not done. We are absolutely not done. There's nothing in this chart that would indicate that we should be fearful that the top is in for XRP. Everything is telling us that this market's about to rip higher, and of course XRP is going to be a part of that. It already has been. That's not going to change here, folks. Here's a post from chart analyst Chart Nerd, and he's talking about XRP here. He says, it's a beautiful sight seeing support hold at our predicted XRP targets. 5 weeks ago, we aimed for the correction to bottom out in the $2.60 range, and we basically got the hit. Since retracing to such levels, XRP has rallied 13% back above the lucrative $3 range. And so you do love to see that. And you know what he's targeting if you're looking at the screen here. Flag breakout target $15.35. That's where he thinks XRP's heading. $15.35. And I would absolutely, I'll say it again, I absolutely expect that the final pump is going to be way more impressive than the first pump of this cycle. Historically, that is absolutely normal. And to kind of drive the point home further that it's not a big ask for XRP to get into or even just close to double-digit price action. Here's the market cap of website, so it shows what the price of XRP would be right now if it had the market cap of Ethereum right now. And the price of XRP, if it matched Ethereum's market cap today, XRP would be $9.39. Do we really not think that XRP is going to come gunning for that number 2 spot in market cap this cycle? I don't know if it'll hit it, but it could. And if it doesn't hit it, it could still get really close. And this is just based on what Ethereum's market cap is right now. It's so the price is $4,655 per ETH, and we did hit a new all-time high very recently, $4,942. But the all-time high from last cycle was pretty close to that. I think it was like $4,850, something like that. So it barely went above it. So even that's why I keep saying, even if Ethereum just like doubles from here, you can see how it's very easy for XRP, if it just matches that, to get close to $20. And even if all the people who think that XRP is going to match the market cap of Ethereum towards the peak, even if they're wrong by half, you could still get $10 XRP if Ethereum's going to run up to closer to $10,000. If they're off by half, which would be a huge miss. And it's kind of hard to believe it'd be off by that much. I just think that dynamic, I don't think that it has just ceased to exist. I think it was just suppressed last cycle because of the SEC crap. And it's very clear to me the market's just playing catch up at this point. And it could show more continued strength. Here's the number of new accounts activated on any given day. And this is going back to last year. But you can see even now, as there's been a lot of fear in recent weeks, you're still getting probably about 4,000 new accounts created on any given day. A little higher, a little lower, depending on the day. But this is just astonishing. I mean, ever since basically like the end of June, it just started rocketing. And you had some days that were really, really big. Maybe closer to 9,000 up here. I think it might have been over 10,279 accounts created on XRP Ledger in one day. So, and if you go back, you go back a year ago, it was more like on any given day about 1,000 new accounts. Do you see how much higher the interest is on just a regular day for XRP and how people are positioning? Like, it's just so freaking obvious. This is healthy right here. This is showing strength right here. That is absolutely what that indicates. It's just one more metric you can look at. You'd love to see it. And look at the total number of accounts. This is the XRP Rich List website. You can see it's just been trending up endlessly, which, I mean, that part's not surprising actually, but you can see the number of XRP wallets in total. We are now at 6.98 million. And you go back to like May of, was this, May of last year. Think about that. A little, just so, what, a year and 4 months roughly? We went from 5.2 million accounts in 1 year and 4 months to almost 7 million. Think about that. That is ridiculously impressive. XRP is finally getting treated the way that it deserves to be treated, which is given that it's one of the most useful cryptos, arguably in existence, with the most utility. It should be treated this way. And now XRP is the 95th most valuable asset in existence. Look at this. It's the company's market cap website, and so they throw in market caps of all sorts of different assets from different asset classes. So precious metals, stocks, crypto, it's all in here. And here you can see XRP's number 95 on this list at $182 billion. That's just wild. And so there's obviously a lot more room to grow. You can see Bitcoin's number 8. Just don't be surprised if XRP ends up being much closer to the top of this list at some point. That would not surprise me in the least. So, I mean, and think about this. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of assets listed here, and XRP's 95, and it's clearly not done running. Pretty wild, right? This is what I'm saying. Like, there's so many things you can look at to indicate like everything is healthy. It's going the right direction. And here you can look at XRP inflows. This is a report from September 1st, so it was for the week leading up to that point. For that 1 week, there was $134 million flowing into XRP, and those are institutional sales specifically. $134 million. And you know what? I've been highlighting this report from CoinShares from time to time, including the first half of the year when it's like April, May, June. There are all sorts of moments where Bitcoin was way down, and you'd still have inexplicably XRP up by like over $100 million some of those weeks. And I remember highlighting at the time, like, guys, you see this, right? You know what this is. This is institutional money snatching up XRP and showing more confidence in XRP for that time period than even in Bitcoin. And so it's still good. And then the most recent one, this is from, we're going to get another one probably like in a day, I think. When was this from? Yeah, so this is from 6 days ago. So we'll probably have another one tomorrow. This one's still up for XRP, just not as much, only 14.7 million. But look at Ethereum. It was down 912 million. So it's not like it's bad. I'm just showing like this indicates health for XRP. And yeah, you're going to have some weeks that are really, really high. And then when you get one like this where it's not as high, it's a little less exciting, but it's still healthy. This is good, you know? So we'll see what happens when we look at the next report, but again, it'll probably be out like tomorrow, I would guess, or today, technically, because it's Monday now, technically. But I'm just telling you, like, if you are not excited right now, you are not on the side of the dirt. I'm convinced of it. How could you not be excited to be in crypto and specifically to be an XRP holder? Things are going to get absolutely insane. The bubble's going to inflate, and we're going to have our opportunity for life-changing wealth. The bubble will pop, though, and then you're going to see major drops, but there will be warning signs when we get there, and I'm going to talk about it. When we get close to the end of the cycle, I will be warning you that indicators that historically signal, hey, guys, it's about over. So in case you do want to sell, you can make that decision for yourself. But I will talk about it when we get there. And then we'll be in a bear market, and then we get to do it all over again and dollar cost average in, and I absolutely will. Even if I sell all of my XRP, which I hope I do, because that means that the price went so high that I was sufficiently enticed to sell all of it. I would love for that to happen. I absolutely will buy back a ton of XRP when we enter the next bear market. Like, I'm not going to stop doing this. It's not like just because the price goes down, XRP is no longer viable. No, it's just market cycle stuff. That has nothing to do with fundamentals. So absolutely, I'll be buying a ton of XRP. I'm just going to do it all over again. I'll buy a bunch of stuff, focusing on large caps, because that is, look, focusing on large caps makes it much more likely that your whatever you're holding is not going to zero. These are the most vetted coins. They're the coins that the world agrees make sense. And so I'm glad that the world has figured out it makes sense for XRP to be right now number 3 in market cap. But I'm telling you, get into that number 2 spot, not crazy. I'll not be surprised if that happens. This market cycle, it could. XRP, at $3.06 XRP as I record this, that's going to look dirt cheap in the future. Of that, I just feel as confident as I possibly could be. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.